Welcome back to Crime Kitchen. As you can see, Andy's already started with putting a few onions in the pan. This is just it's slightly longer. This one, just a little bit. Yeah, if you start from scratch with the onions, so it pays to get the onions going first. And so, what is it we're looking at today, then, right, from a food perspective?
This is a chorizo and chickpea casserole. Again, really reasonably priced dish, cheap as chips, really. You could put some plant-based stuff as a part of the chorizo, but really simple. Just frying off some onions now, and we'll carry on. So we're good to go.
Yeah, if you carry on doing that, but what I'm interested to know, and I know a few other people will be as well, is like how's this journey all started for you then? You know, in the police force and stuff like. Because I know obviously we've known each other since we were young kids, and I know you always wanted to join the police. That was always an ambition of yours. But how did it all get going, and what made you want to be a policeman?
I guess my uncle was in the police. My brother had joined the police. My dad had been in the Air Force. So I always had that sort of direction, I suppose. I always wanted to be in the police. When I first left school, I worked on a farm for a bit.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really me. Too cold, really.
Yeah, but you did did go to the colleges. You went to the agriculture colleges, and you actually did become an early young farmer.
I did enjoy it, but I always had an hankering to be a cop. And back in the late 70s, 89, I did apply and I couldn't get in for whatever reason. And but I always had this: should I go in the Air Force or go in the police? But I wanted to be in the police, and I applied.
Was it a difficult thing to get into in those days?
It must have been, yeah.
Because my sister, funny enough, wanted to be in the police force as well. But at the time, there was a height restriction. I'm just about 5'10", but it was 5'8". Yeah, she couldn't get in at because of her height.
There.
But no, there's no restriction.
No restriction on age, no restriction on height. But there was a time, in fact, I went join West Mercia, but pre-67, when there was like a number of forces, like Worcester City, there was Worcester Borough, all separate forces. To be a bobby in Worcester City, you had to be 6 foot.
Yeah. There was. I do remember all that. All of that's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah. No restrictions, nothing. No, and it's good because otherwise it was barring people. I suppose different policing regimes, but it was barring potentially very good people.
Absolutely,
It's a shame, really. So
I guess that they,
just put some garlic in.
But I guess they add that rule in because in the early days, I suppose it was a lot more physical. I guess.
It was physical, and the physical presence as well. It was different types of policing. I mean, policing is a reflection of society, isn't it? And so that's where it was at the time. Good or bad, it's just the way it was. It's not bad, it's just the way it was.
So going back to that then, so you didn't quite make it in your first attempt for whatever reason.
That's right. So I thought, I wanted to do it, and I thought I'll join the Air Force.
Yeah.
And my dad had been in the Air Force, so I joined the IF Police, and had a great time. I have to say, all my career I've had a great time. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time in the Air Force, made some great friends, went to some great places, did some great things. And it was a good setup for me. And then I did my time there, and then I thought it was time to move on. I had the opportunity to join West Mercia, which I did. And I did join in 88 and came over to West Mercia.
Yeah.
That was it, that's it really. And again, enjoyed every minute of it. I think.
What was it like? Yeah, because obviously you went. I remember you going and doing your training at Cumbrae, didn't you?
Yes, right. Yeah.
What was it like then? You get your uniform and.
I loved Cumbrae. I did. I loved my training, basic training. The reason why, because obviously being ex-military, and there's quite a stringent sort of disciplinary around military and training, and. I went to Cumbrae and they tried to emulate that a little bit. It was a little bit military, sort of trying to march and that. And it was. I loved it. It wasn't hard really. I mean, you had to study hard, but
but you enjoyed it. You've been through that military training, like you say, as well. So you get out, and then was it a bit of luck that you managed to get into the force on your doorstep, or was that planned?
No, not really. It was just I could have gone anywhere really. I mean, I never lived in Worcester, although we come from Worcestershire, we're Worcestershire lads. I never lived in Worcester. I'd bought a house in Worcester, so that probably maybe influenced it, I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad I came to Worcester. Great Worcester city, I loved it. Some great characters and yeah. And the old police station, Deansway, that was.
Yeah. No, I do remember that.
Yeah, we had it. Yeah, it was great, and I used to get excited about coming to work, and I still did to the day I retired. I loved it. I loved going to work. I got a buzz. You know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you were made for that job, really. It's because and you were always enthusiastic about doing it.
Yeah.
So you obviously you're out of Cumbrae now. You've done your training. You start then in your first day at work, as it were. What goes on then? Your sort of your first case or something that you had to deal with that was funny, interesting.
You're cutting the nice chunks. I put 2 trichos in here. Maybe that's a bit too much, but I do like a bit of meat in there. So we chuckle that in. It's one of those things you just fire it off and throw it in and let it cook away.
Yeah.
I can remember it. I can remember my first arrest. There's always firsts of things, isn't there, in life? But my first arrest in 1988, and I was very fortunate because when you come as a young probationary officer, you're assigned a tutor constable, and who looks after you basically for shows you around the ropes, and it's all right doing the training and the theory bit, but this is the practical stuff. This is this is where it all happens.
And now you're with a seasoned
I am.
Bobby.
I was very fortunate. A bloke called Tim Davey, he won't mind me saying it. Strong as an ox, hard working, great bloke, common sense, great cop, and. So I think it was my first day. So it's all a bit in the deep end, isn't it? And you know what's going on, and your stomach's rumbling, and oh my word. And there was a young acting sergeant, Mully. I hope he's watching. And he was a DC detective. He come back acting, so he's obviously but he was keen as mustard, Mully. Anyway, there'd been a case. We had a WPC, and they were WPCs in those days. Everybody's PCs now. But at the time, they were WPCs. The lady on the shift, and she was having a bit of hassle because sorry, folks, it keeps blowing out. It's a bit windy today.
Yeah, it is windy today.
And there was a lady who had got a liking for female police officers, WPCs. She'd already got a ban from Birmingham where she'd been following and stalking a WPC over there. Right. Anyway, she came over to Worcester and she started stalking this lady, and it was quite stressful really, because where she was there, and it was getting very, very. She'd been arrested a few times for it, but she obviously had some mental health issues really, and to be honest, but she infatuating with policewomen. So anyway, it got to a point on this one day, my first day. And this woman was following and stalking the policewoman, really hassling her. And the acting sergeant come down, he said to Tim, he said, right, take your probationer and go and arrest that woman. So off we toddled into town in Worcester City, trying to find this woman. Bless her. And we eventually found her, and she was in Lowesmore. And so I said to Tim, what were we arresting her for? He said, conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace. Covered most things. So I arrested her for conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace. I forgot to caution her. Right. She wet herself.
Yeah.
And we walked her back to the police station. God bless her. Yeah. But, it was you couldn't write it really. No. It was, but yeah. And she got dealt with. And I think the WPC left in the end, not because of that. I think she just wasn't up for policing, but yeah. But the best of it one, in fact, there's a couple more stories when I first with Tim. And we went to a domestic. I think I told you this domestic on a Sunday afternoon in an area of Worcester. So the husband, the dad, had been on the lash all lunchtime, Sunday lunchtime, come home, battered domestic, and assaulted his wife badly. And So we get a call, there's a massive domestic. So we get there and we walk down the garden path, and out comes through the front door a little kid, 5, 6 years of age. He says, "Mate, you'll need a effing army to get him." This is the kid.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's all, we talked about it. It's all put before you. Little kid, effing and blind.
Obviously,
So he opens the door, and this bloke comes out, and I thought the lights had gone out. He was a great big bloke, stripped to the waist, bald head, big lad, and he's cracking off, and he tells me that he's never gone down to the police station quite before, and my mate Tim, he's gone to the house to look to see if the lady's okay or what's going on, and I'm talking to this bloke who's giving it large, so he's like up here, and I said, "Look, we have to sort it out." I said, "We can roll round your garden all afternoon, and my gang's bigger than yours, so you are going to come to the police station at some stage, so it's up to you what you want to do. What you want to do?" "Ah, well, she won't make a complaint anyway." I said, "Well, whatever, we need to sort it out." Anyway, 5 minutes later, I've calmed him down, and my mate Tim comes out. He says, "Right, she wants to make a complaint." He's up in the air again. Oh dear. Anyway, he did. We talked him into it, and talking's better than fighting, and he come down. But I remember that. The little kid, "You'll need an effing army to get him."
Oh dear.
And then, sorry, go on. You were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, in those situations, because did you find yourselves in areas, because like you obviously watch all this stuff on the telly, where you see the police chasing these criminals down the road on foot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that happen much, or do people come quietly more often than not? Would you say?
Yeah, I think the vast majority do comply. There's also a small percentage who don't. Yeah, the vast majority do, because I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? And usually if you talk to them nice enough, but that's not a guarantee. Some people just don't like the police. They want to fight. They want to run. They want to But I was going to say that my first was my that same year, first Christmas Day, and it'd been a real quiet Christmas Day. Again, I was still with Tim, duty constable, and we got called to a double fatal. Well, we didn't know it was a double fatal at the time on the 449, mother and son. It was, really. And I always remember Christmas Day because of that name. You can't help but it was a really bad accident. And the fire service there and ambulance there. It was quite a traumatic day for me, because it's been a quiet day actually, and all of a sudden it changes.
That happened,
So I was sat there trying to have a quiet Christmas, and then it all cracks off. But
and like, how do things work within the police then? Because I mean, you get like the traffic police, and like, there's all different divisions, isn't there, within the police and stuff, and you get the traffic. But like, when something
some chickpeas
like that happens, is it all hands to the pump? Like, so because you obviously went to that incident, didn't you? But you weren't a traffic cop, were you?
No, it's response really. Everybody responds initially, and then whatever specialism that can deal with that. It would have been traffic because it was a fatal.
Yeah.
So because there's obviously massive investigation into fatals, because potential dangerous driving or due care, or somebody's there's somebody at fault somewhere. Somebody's dies in the car. So that's it. Then the EL splits itself up. Then and it usually works. I mean, the police service changes its priorities. It changes its departments. Depending what's required at that time, we have something. Yeah. There's always been like a traffic department and a CID department. The CID now, and I've been retired a few years now. Is split up as well into different areas.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've got so they've got their own specialisms even within CID.
Oh yeah,
then?
Definitely, and it's good that, because one time when I first went to CID would do it all with major crime or criminal investigations, whatever it may be, child abuse, murder, whatever.
Yeah. Whereas
now you've got more specialisms, especially around child abuse and those type of cases, and domestic abuse as well. Specific officers who are trained in it and keep with it, because it's far better for the victim survivors of those things to have somebody who specifically did, and the contact between the different agencies as well. You get that relationship. So especially around children's stuff as well. You want somebody who does it all the time, that you're interacting with social workers and children's services and all those type of things. It's better, really, far better. Yeah.
This has just popped into my head, and you may not want to talk about this, so we'll move on if you don't. But I'm just going to go back to your forces day, when you were in the RAF as an MP, because I remember you going to a case there where unfortunately one of the guys had committed suicide, but he was wearing different clothes and things like that from my memory.
I remember that. Yeah, well remembered. It was. I mean, not with names. Yeah, that's right. That was a sad case. Yeah,
it was. That's why I brought it up. Really, it was.
Yeah, it was. Found a lad who went missing. Couldn't find him, and then we eventually found him in the loft, wearing his wife's wedding dress. Again, obviously some major trauma in his life. It's.
But I think the reason why I wanted to come back to that is because it's in all roses.
It's a rocket name.
It's.
No, not at all.
There's lots of sad things happen, that you have to deal with when you're back in the forces, as it were. That things. It all goes on. Actually, one of the things that I'd like to know more about is where is the line drawn between what the military police deals with and what civilian police deals with. So if you've got an incident within the military, is there a point when the civilian police takes over?
Well, they've got jurisdiction over the camps and the perimeters of camps and the staff. So it's a mutual thing, really. I mean, the Royal Military Police, the Royal Air Force Police I was in, and the Navy, the regulators. They'll deal with everything the same as anybody else. Whatever it may be.
So if you were just thinking off the top of my head, really, if there was a murder, or go to the extreme in a camp, is it the military police that would deal with that?
They'd have jurisdiction. I mean, they might ask for assistance if they haven't got, because they possibly don't deal with the amount of murders that the civilian police would do. They might ask for equipment, but they're fully trained and quite capable of doing it, and they would.
So would they have like all of the? Because we've talked on other shows about like the golden hour and the capturing of information at the scene and all that. So are they trained in the military to that level? Yeah. So you got all of that.
Definitely. Yeah.
More so, I didn't understand that. I thought it was pretty basic policing, but it's not, is it?
No. I mean, they do lots of other extra different things in the military. Counterintelligence and security issues and that. But the main core of it would be exactly the same, really.
So that was
especially abroad, especially overseas, where they seeing when I was in Germany, like full jurisdiction. The military police, the Welsh police would be dealing all the time with it.
So I can understand now why that was such a good grounding for yourself when you come out and went into civilian life, because that was. I mean, in some ways, you'd have probably had a head start over some of the civilian ones at training camp.
Yeah, certain things. I mean, to a certain degree, you didn't deal with it in depth as much, but you definitely had the jurisdiction, or it could happen. But it's usually a mutual thing. If both really, because I remember dealing with squadders and airmen being in the British, in the civilian police, and then asking the respective military police to help us, because we're dealing with, with forces people.
Yes.
So you do both ways really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got everything,
And is there much? I mean, you can't speak for now in these days, I know, but in your day, was there much crime? Was there, or was it? In terms of
get some bad ones. I mean, any place in society, whatever it may be, whatever vocation, there'll be some bad ones, and there was bad ones in everywhere. And you get people who murder and commit serious offences and get dealt with.
Right.
But no, I mean, I suppose you didn't see it so much in the Air Force, but there was Quran committed, you know.
Yeah.
Because obviously all the different military acts, the Army Act and the Air Force Act, so you know there was different. It's very disciplined really. And so you were obviously dealing with that and trying to keep people in tow. I do remember one Christmas again, and I was in over the RAF Hunton in Suffolk, and the RAF Regiment, bless them. And there was always a bit of friction between the RAF Regiment and the RAF Police, but I got some good RAF Regiment friends.
Yes.
And they're good people, good soldiers. And so there they are, the RAF soldiers, you know. And there's some good specialist soldiers in there. Anyway, a group of them have been out drinking Christmas, come back up the camp and smash some windows. So this is like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So our warrant officer phones up their warrant officer who's in bed asleep. And within an hour, the whole of the RAF Regiment is in their #1 uniform, their best uniform, stood to attention in one of the hangars.
Yeah.
And their warrant officer walks down the line and says, right, all those responsible for damage, 1 step forward. Of course, nobody moves.
Yeah.
So then he goes back down the line and went, you and you, police officer, you're going to be charged with damage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the lads of the regiment sorted out exactly who did
Yeah, who did it?
Of course, the lads stood there, they'd been asleep, but they were married quarters.
Yeah.
They hadn't been nowhere near the town. Maybe things have changed, but it was, God bless them. But yeah, it was some good lads.
That's starting to look good, that isn't it?
Oh no, it is, isn't it? It's only me and you could eat it.
Pardon?
It's only me and you could eat it. No, it is. It's really looking good.
Yeah. So that looks like it'll feed at least like 4 or 5 people. No,
at least 6. Yeah, good 6, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Six of you and 4 of me.
It's a nice. It's a nice casserole, especially in the winter. It's a nice hearty, flavoursome casserole. It's just going to just simmer away now for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember going back to in between me going to the Air Force and then come back to you, because you very kindly, because when you come out of the Air Force you have on resettlement leave and terminal leave they call it, and that, and so me and you built a patio, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, quite a large patio actually.
It was a good day. We had to
out in the countryside.
Yeah.
And, it's still there to this day, that is. Yeah,
I think it is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
just to remind people, we're happy to come out and cook whatever, a big patio. We can cook for 35 plus people. All we ask you to make a donation. It's all free. You're part of the YouTube. You can ask as many questions you want. We've also got our email, which is
kleinekitchens@gmail.com.
Yeah. So please just drop us anything you want to know, or anything we can help you with, anything at all, and we're going to let this tick on a bit now because it's going to be another 10 minutes, but you can see it's a beautiful, cheap meal, wholesome, chorizo and chickpea casserole. And it's a little bit windy, so we're just coping with that, but I think we're about done for now, aren't
we are, and I'll let you know what it tastes like at the next episode. But it looks pretty good from here. So, no, thanks for that, mate. No, it does look good.